All right, College Algebra, Chapter 1 test review. Okay, now what you can do on this, you could watch it as many times as you want to. You could fast forward over the parts you know. The parts you're having trouble with, you can focus on those. Fast forward, rewind, pause, whatever you need to do. And if you still have trouble, you can contact me. I'll help you all I can. So let's start off the first one here, or just a basic equation. Okay, we've got the 3x minus 5 equals 7x plus 11. Okay, so here's my equals right there. I've got my variable on both sides, and I've got to get my variable to one side, so I'm going to have to minus 7x. All right, that's going to go away over here and over here. Now that's giving me a negative 4x minus 5 equals 11 over there. Okay, now I need to add 5 to get my constants over here on this side. So I got my variable, negative 4x here. I've got 16 over there. And now I can divide by negative 4. And there you go. There's my answer, which is right. Now here's what you want to do though on this test. My answer is negative 4. I need to check that and make sure it's right. So what I can do is I can put the negative 4 in, and it should give me an equation that's equal. So let's get to my calculator on here. If I put negative 4 in for x, I got 3 times negative 4 in parentheses minus 5. It gives me a negative 17 on this side. If I put it in here, 7 times negative 4 in parentheses, and then plus 11, negative 17 on that side. So my solution is correct. So that's what you should be able to do on your equations when you're solving. All right, let's go down to the next one here, number 2. Okay. Number 2, 7 and 3x plus 9 equals 11 minus and then x plus 3. All right, here's my equals right there. All right, and I'm not going to lie to you. Right here's where most mistakes are made. We got this minus to distribute on there. That's where a lot of people make a mistake. Well, let's go ahead and start over here. Distribute. 7 times 3x is 21x. 7 times 9 would be a 63. Over here I got this 11. I can't do anything with it right now. But here's where I'm talking about making a mistake. You got to distribute this minus, so that makes this x a negative x. And it makes this plus 3 a minus 3. There's where my mistakes are mostly made right there. Now I got like terms over here, so leave this side, 21x plus 63 equals 11. I'm sorry, 11 minus 3 is 8. This is 8 minus x. Okay, 11 minus 3 is 8. And now, see, I've just like the previous problem, I got x's on both sides. So I'm going to add an x to both sides, which gives me 22x plus 63 equals 8. And then I'll minus 63. That goes away. 22x equals negative 55. And then I divide by 22. All right. All right, this is going to be 11 goes in both of those, negative 5 over 2. That would be my answer right there, which is what this says. Okay, but now what you want to do is you want to check it. Okay, so we're going to put this in both sides. So I got 7, parentheses, 3, and then a parenthesis again for my negative 5 over 2. Okay, and then plus 9. And then my parentheses there. That's a 10.5. I should get that over here. Let's see here. 11 minus, and then I got parentheses, then I got negative 5 over 2 plus 3, parentheses, 10.5. I got the same thing on both sides, so it tells me my solution is correct. All right, so that's what you want to do on this test. Check and make sure your answers are right. All right, let's go to number 3. Now, number 3 here, I may just do it on this paper. Number 3, we've got, let me write it out here. 3 over 10 times x minus 4x plus 4/5 equals 3/5. Too many fractions. Too many. So what we're going to have to do is find my common denominator, which 5 and 5 and 10, they all go into 10. So we're going to multiply everything, both sides, by 10. Okay, now right here I've got to distribute this 10 to all three parts in this. So when I do 10 times this, you just use your calculator if you need to. 10 times 3/10. That's 3. So it'd be a 3x. 10 times negative 4x would be negative 40x. And then 10 times 4/5, you just punch it in. 10 times 4 divided by 5. That's 8. Okay. Over here, 10 times 3/5 is going to be 6. Okay, I just did that one in my head. All right, and now there's no fractions. All right, good deal. Now here's my equals, okay? So on this side, it looks like we got like terms right there. 3x minus 40x is negative 37x plus 8 equals 6. All right, then I'm going to have to subtract 8. Negative 37x equals negative 2. And then we have to divide by negative 37. And the negatives will cancel each other, but it's just going to be 2 over 37. Nothing we can do there. And that is right. Okay, that is right. But let's check it. Now let me show you on checking this, okay? Because you don't want to get this one wrong. And you should be able to get this, I'm telling you. So we got 3 over 10. So 3 divided by 10. And then times the x. So in my parentheses, I'm going to put 2 divided by 37. Okay. Minus 4, and in parentheses, 2 divided by 37. Plus 4 divided by 5. That's 0.6. Over here, I just got 3/5. 3 divided by 5. Oop. 3 divided by 5 is 0.6. So we're good. We're good. Okay. And that's what you want to do. You want to check your answers, make sure you're getting them right. All right, what about 4 here? All right, let's get down here when you see it. Determine whether this equation is an identity, a conditional equation, or a contradiction. All right, let's talk about these things real quick. All right here. Identity, conditional, contradiction. All right. An identity, what this is when you have the same exact thing on both sides, and no matter what you put in for x, it's always going to work. So this is all numbers are solutions. If you have something where all numbers are solutions, that's an identity. A conditional condition, it's under one condition that x has to be a certain value. This is when x equals a value. X equals some value. So like we just solved 3 equations. We just solved 1, 2, and 3, and each time x had a value. So that's a conditional equation because it's an equation on the condition that x equals that value. So that's what we have here, conditional. Then we have contradiction, which means there's no solution at all. There's no solution at all, which means it's a contradiction. It's not an equation. It contradicts itself. Okay, so this one here, and we're going to solve this one. 11x minus 19 equals 5, and they got 2x plus 5 minus 6. Here's my equals right there. Okay, so let's see, this side we're good to go. We don't have any like terms, but over here we got to distribute. So 5 times 2x is 10x, 5 times 5 would be 25. And then I got like terms right there, so we're leaving this one again. And then I got 10x over here, and then 25 minus 6 is 19. Okay. All right. So I need to subtract 10x on both sides because I got x's on both sides. that goes away, and I've got a 1x over here, minus 19 equals 19. And then I add 19, which means we got 38. So 38 is my solution here. So I do have a solution. It's 38, which means it's a conditional equation. This is a conditional. This is an equation based on the condition that x is 38. And of course, that's what it said here, 38. And you could put the 38 back in to check. I'm not going to do it on this one. So this is a conditional equation, and the solution set is just 38. That's the only answer. Okay. Now, if this had come out to be all numbers were solutions, I would select identity, and then I would put the solution is all real numbers. And of course, if it was no solution, it would be contradiction, and it would be an empty set. Okay. All right, what do we have here on this one? Let's see what we got here on number 5. We might have a special case here. So I've got 0.5, I got x plus 3 minus 0.7, and x plus 3 again equals, and then negative 0.2x minus 0.6. Okay, let's get it on the screen here. This is a long one here. Okay, let me double check, make sure I wrote everything right, because I've been known to. All right, we're good. All right. So we've got two distributes to do here. So 0.5 times x, 0.5x, and then I got 0.5 times 3, which is 1.5. Okay. Then I got 0.7 times x, and 0.7 times 3, which is negative. Now that's negative 0.7 times both of these. So it's going to be negative 2.1. Over here, no like terms. Okay. Now here's my equals right here, okay? So on this side I got like terms, these go together and those go together. So 0.5 minus 0.7 is negative 0.2. And then 1.5 minus 2.1 is negative 0.6. And look here, 0.2x, lift my x off. Okay. I got the same thing on both sides. Do you notice that? I got the same thing on both sides. This is an identity. Now, if you don't notice that, you can just continue on. See, if I got my x's on both sides, so it adds 0.2x. Okay, and it makes this go away, but over here it makes it go away over there too. And so here's the key. You know, if you don't see it on this one, you'll see it here. My x's, my variable zeroed out entirely. What do I have left here? Negative 0.6. What do I have left over here? Negative 0.6. And I've got the same thing on both sides, which means this is identity. Okay. This is an identity. No matter what I put in for x, it's going to work it out. I could put 1 million in for x, and it works it out. I could put 3 in for x, and it work it out. No matter what I put in for x, it's going to work it out. So this is an identity. Okay. Now you could try a couple values to see if it is in fact an identity, but it is. So on this one here, it's an identity, which means it's B here. The solution is all real numbers. Okay. This is an identity. All right. Let's go to number 6. All right, on 6 here, we have the second side of a triangular deck is 4 feet longer than the shortest side. And the third side is 4 feet shorter than twice the length of the shortest side. If the perimeter of the deck is 48 feet, what are the lengths of the 3 sides? All right, so here we go. We got 1, 2, 3 sides. And if I add them together, I'm going to get 48. Okay. Move that over just a little bit. So here's my shortest one. And here's the biggest one over here. Okay. Now it says over here, the second side of a triangular deck is 4 feet longer than the shortest side. So that means it's 4 feet longer than the shortest side. And the shortest one, we usually let it be a variable. So the shortest one is x. So the second side is 4 feet longer than the shortest side. So it's going to be x plus 4. Then it says the third side is 4 feet shorter than twice the length of the shortest side. So that means it's going to be twice the length of the shortest side, which would be 2x, but it's 4 feet shorter than that, so it's going to be minus 4. So here's how you'd set it up. All right, now here's my equals, and this is just a regular equation like we've been doing. So on this side here, I've got like terms. So I got x plus 2x, which is 4x. And then I've got 4 plus negative 4, which just cancels out to 0. So 4x equals 48. And then I divide by 4. There you go. X is 12. Okay. So that means right here, this side is 12. I'm going to put 12 right here. This is 12 plus 4, which is 16 right there. And then 2 times 12 is 24 minus 4 would be 20. There's what my 3 sides are. So 12, 16, and 20. And you should be able to add those up, and it should be 48. So 2 plus 6 is 8. 1 plus 1 plus 2 is 4. And yes, they do indeed add up to 48. And these are the answers. You can see right here. We got this right. So that's how you would tackle this problem. All right. All right. Now, I'm pretty sure that was on the test too. So make sure you know how to do that one. Now here you go. This one's one that causes a lot of trouble for people. Number 7. Okay. Let me scoot this up to the top a little bit better. How many quarts of pure antifreeze must be added to 4 quarts of a 10% antifreeze solution to obtain a 30% antifreeze solution? Okay. Now here's what you got. You got your pure antifreeze plus your 10% antifreeze, and you're going to mix that together to get a 30% antifreeze. Okay, this is what you're doing. Got your pure antifreeze plus your 10% antifreeze, and you're going to add it together to get a 30% antifreeze. Okay, now it says how many quarts of this pure antifreeze? How many quarts of this? Well, we don't know that, so that's x. But it's 100% because it's pure. So that's 100% plus 4 quarts of this. So we got 4 quarts of 10% antifreeze. And that's going to equal a solution that's 30% antifreeze. Well, how much of that will we have? Well, we'll have this 4 quarts plus however many of those we have. So we're going to have x plus 4 quarts. And that's going to be 30% antifreeze. Okay, now this is how you tackle it. We don't know how many quarts of this. We know there's 4 quarts of that. So when I add this together, I'm going to have x plus 4. If this is 3 quarts, it's going to be 3 plus 4 be 7 quarts over here. 3 plus 4 be 7. Or if it's 20 quarts, 20 plus 4 be 24 of this. So I'm going to add these two together to equal this one. And so that means these two have to be multiplied to the percent over here. So this is how you set it up, okay? So this is, I need to change these percents to decimals. So this is going to be, when I move it over 2, it's just going to be 1x. When I move this over 2, it's going to be 4 times 0.10, which is 0.40, or just 0.4. And over here, this is 0.3 when I move this over 2, but I got to distribute that. Okay, so it's going to be 0.3 times x plus 0.3 times 4, which is 1.2. All right, and then it's just the same problem we've been doing. You know, we got the minus 0.3x on both sides. This goes away. This is going to be 0.7x plus 0.4 equals 1.2. I'm going to minus 0.4. 0.7x equals, it's going to be 0.8. And we'll divide by 0.7. And this is just going to be 8 over 7. It says round to the nearest tenth. So this one wants a decimal. It'll tell you if it wants a decimal or not, or a fraction, whatever. So we're going to do 8 divided by 7. 8 divided by 7. Okay, look here. I get 1.142857. There you go. That's enough. But it says round to the nearest tenth. Now remember, 10 has one decimal. So tenth is one decimal place. I'm sorry, I said 10 has 1 0. So tenth has one decimal. So we're looking at 1.1 right there. Now does this 4 make the 1 go up or stay? It makes it stay. So my answer is 1.1, which is what we see up here. That's my answer. Okay? But you got to pay attention. It tells you in parentheses, it'll say to round to the nearest tenth, or to type your answer in form of this. It tells you how to type your answer in. So you need to practice this real good for the review. So the test, you'll be in good shape. Number 8. Subtract and simplify. All right, so we've got 8 plus 8i minus -7 minus I. All right, when you subtract these, the best thing to do is distribute your minus. So I'm going to distribute that minus into here. So that gives me 8 plus 8i. And over here, I'm going to change it to plus. Now that turns this into a +7 and a +i when I distribute the minus. So it changes to plus, and then these are here, we changed them to opposites. And now I can add them. So 8 plus 7 would be 15. And then 8i plus another i would be 9i. So it should be 15 plus 9i, and that is right. Okay. Now, let me do this. Suppose this was a plus right there. Okay. So when I distribute that minus, this minus make this a plus. It'll turn it into a +7. And then it would turn this into a -i. So if that was a plus, then that's what would happen. Okay, so I'm just showing you, you distribute that minus, and so if it's a plus, it would make that a minus. But in the real problem, this was a minus, so it made that a plus. And I hope that did not confuse you. I should have just wrote another one down. But the answer is 15 plus 9i. Okay, let's go to number 9 here. All right, and here we've got several operations to do. So let's see here. We've got 2 minus 6i minus 4 plus 2i minus -7 plus I. All right, so again, we've got minuses here. We're going to have to distribute those and change to add. So this guy stays. I'm going to change it to plus and distribute that minus into here, which makes that a -4 and a -2i. Okay, the 4 becomes a -4, the 2i becomes a -2i. Again, I'm going to change this to plus, and I'm going to distribute that minus into this. So this -7 turns into a +7, and then this +i turns into a -i. Okay? You got to do that, because if you don't, man, you're going to have problems. You're going to make mistakes. You always distribute your minus like that. Change to plus. And now my real parts, right there. There's my real parts. 2 plus -4 would be -2, and then -2 plus 7 would be 5. Okay? Now my imaginary parts, here's my imaginary parts right there. Okay? So I've got -6i plus -2i, which is -8i, plus another -i, which is -9i. So that should be my answer right there. And we got it, man. We're in good shape. Okay. Now, number 10. We're multiplying. -6 plus 6i times -3 plus 4i. We're multiplying these. Okay. Now, when you multiply, it's best to set up a multiplication box. So I'm just going to write underneath this first one right here. I've got a column for the -6. I got a column for the plus 6i. And then this -3 plus 4i will go over to the side. Okay, so right here I got -6 times -3. That's a +18. Okay, right here, +6i times -3 is going to be a -18i. All right, down here I got negative 6 times 4i. That's going to be negative 24i. And then this one here, I always do it outside because it always turns into a real number. I've got 4 times 6, which is 24, and I got I squared. All right, so 4 times 6 is 24, and I got 2 i's, which is I squared. And I squared, if you remember, is a negative 1. And so 24 times negative 1 is negative 24. So this is negative 24. Okay, and now 18 plus negative 24 is negative 6. Negative 18i plus negative 24i is negative 42i. And that should be my answer right there. And I think that's what we got. We're in good shape. Okay. All right. Now, number 11, we got a divide problem. Okay. Move it up here a little bit. All right, so we got 1 plus 5i divided by 1 plus I. Okay. Now, to do division, we have to do the conjugate of the denominator and multiply it to both the top and the denominator. So I go 1 minus I. That's my conjugate down here. So I got to multiply that top and bottom. Okay. All right, so when I do the top, I'm going to make 2 boxes now. This is for the top, and then I'm going to have another one for the bottom. Okay, on the top, I got 1 plus 5i, I got 1 minus I. So 1 times 1 is 1 here, 1 times 5i is 5i, 1 times negative I is negative I, and then right here in this one, I've got 5 times negative 1, which is negative 5, and I got I squared. Okay, 5 times negative 1 is negative 5. I squared, well, that's negative 1, so that gives me a 5. So this should be a 5 right there. So 1 plus 5 would be 6. And then 5i plus negative I would be a 4i. There's my top. Okay, now on the bottom, this square here, I got 1 plus I, 1 minus I. And when you do your conjugates, remember your imaginary numbers should cancel. All right, let's see here. 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times I is I. 1 times negative I is negative I. And look here, they cancel like they're supposed to. That's what happens when you do conjugates. And then right here, I got negative I times I. All right, negative 1 times positive 1 is negative 1. And I got an I squared. Okay. Negative 1 times 1 is negative 1. And I got 2 i's, which is I squared. Well, I squared is negative 1. So negative 1 times negative 1 is a positive 1. So this is a positive 1. And when I add those together, I get a 2. And those canceled, like I said a while ago. And now, once I do this right here, I got to split them up. So I've got, make sure I got room here. I've got 6 over 2 plus 4 over 2 I. 6 over 2 plus 4 over 2 I. 6 over 2 is 3. 4 over 2 is 2. It's 3 plus 2i. And that's what I have. All right, we're in good shape. Okay. Now let's go to 12. Complex numbers are used to describe current, voltage, and impedance. And here it is right here. E, maybe I should write that down again. E equals I Z. This is your voltage. I is your resistance. And Z is your impedance. Okay. Okay. But now it tells you the I and the E here. So the E, it says, is 4 plus 6i. Okay. And it tells you that the I is 9 plus 5i. It's Z we don't know. All right, so getting it off the screen here. So I need to solve and figure out what Z is. So to solve this, I'm going to have to divide both sides by 9 plus 5i. make this cancel off. Z is going to equal this right here. Well, that's another division thing, like the previous problem we just did. So we're going to have to divide that. So we're going to have to do 4 plus 6i divided by 9 plus 5i. Okay, let me move it up here. So that means I'm going to have to multiply by the conjugate, which is 9 minus 5i, top and bottom. Okay, just like the previous problem. So I'm going to have two boxes to do here. One for the top, one for the bottom. Okay, so in this one here, I got 4 plus 6i. I got 9 minus 5i. Just be careful. Do each square in the box, you know, one at a time. 9 times 4 is 36. 9 times 6i would be 54i. 4 times negative 5i is negative 20i. And then right here in this one, this is negative 5 times 6, which is negative 30. And I got an I squared. I'm getting too close to this box over here. So it's going to be negative 30 times negative 1, which is a positive 30. So this is a positive 30 right here, which gives me 66 for the real part. And then 54i plus negative 20i would be 34i. Okay. All right, now in this square, I've got 9 plus 5i, and I got 9 minus 5i. All right, these are conjugates, and my imaginary parts should cancel. We're here, 9 times 9 is 81. 9 times 5i is 45i. 9 times negative 5i is negative 45i, and yeah, they do cancel. And in this square here, 5 times negative 5 is negative 25, and I got an I squared. Okay, well, I squared is negative 1, so that's a positive 25. Okay, so this is 25. So I've got 81 plus 25, which is 106. Those canceled, so there you go. There's my answer there, but now we got to split them up. When we divide, we got to split these up. So it's going to be 66 over 106 plus 34 over 106i. Okay, and then I see if these simplify. All right, now on this right here, 66 divided by 106 comes out to be that, and then change it to a fraction. That's going to be 33 over 53. When I do this, 34 divided by 106, that's going to be 17 over 53i. That should be my answer. Oh Lord, I hope it's right. We're good. We got it, man. So when you do this, just one step at a time. Watch this again. Try practicing. Now, when you do these problems on the review, you know, you get it right, you go on, right? Well, if you get it right, but you're not really sure of it, you can do it over. You can do it over as many times as you want to until you feel comfortable doing it. So there you go. That's number 12. Let's move on. Okay, number 13. Okay, 1 over I to the negative 14. All right, now this being in the denominator as a negative exponent can move up, which would make it I to the positive 14 in the top, and then in the bottom it's just a 1. But that's what you have when you have negative exponents. The negative exponent will move to the top and make it a positive exponent. All right, now as we've done before, this is I to the 14. Okay. Now if you remember, we've got I to the 1, I to the 2nd, I to the 3rd, I to the 4th, and then it has this rotation. I to the 1 is I squared is negative 1, I to the 3rd is negative I to the 4th is a positive 1. And it just does this rotation. Okay, so I to the 14th, where does it land in this rotation? Well, all you do is you take 14 and you divide by 4. So 14 divided by 4 is 3.5, which is $3.50. Now, how many quarters is 50 cents? Well, it's 2. So this is I squared, which is negative 1. Okay. So you take your exponent, you divide by 4 to see where it falls in this rotation. See, this goes on forever. I to the 5th would be I to the 6th would be -1, I to the 7th, I to the 8th, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 would fall right here. So it just goes through this rotation over and over. So you divide to figure out where it's going to fall in rotation. Okay. All right, man. You ready for some singing? I hope you're ready for some singing, because we're going to solve this. 3y squared minus 19y plus 16 equals 0. It equals 0, so we're ready to go. If it don't equal 0, you got to make it equal 0. So, quadratic formula. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay, now we're going to put our a is negative, our a is 3, goes here and here. My b is negative 19, that goes there and there. And c is 16 down here on the end, 16. Okay, now after you put these in, remember there's 1, 2, 3 things to do here. 3 things to do. So that means x equals, that's going to be a negative would be a positive 19. Down here, 2 times 3 would be 6. And then in my radical, all right, let's hit this parentheses and stuff on here. Negative 19 parentheses squared. Okay, minus 4 times 3, 16, 169. Okay. So we do that inside the radical, which is 169. Now the square root of 169, punch that in, see if it's a perfect square, and it is. It's 13. All right. So this is 19 plus or minus 13 divided by 6. So 19 plus 13 would be, was that 32? 32 divided by 6. I think it wants fractions. See, yeah, they always want fractions. It doesn't say it. This is going to be 16 over 3. So there you go. There's 1. I think we got that right. See. Now, 19 minus 13 is 6 divided by 6, which is 1. And there's the other answer. Okay. All right, let's go to 15. R squared plus 3r minus 8 equals 0. Okay, another quadratic one. All right, let's sing again. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. All right, so my a this time is a 1. So there's a 1 goes here and here. B is a 3. 3 goes in there and here. And then my C is negative 8. That's all the way down here at the end. Okay. And then every time you got 1, 2, 3 things to do. So x equals, that's a negative 3. Down here, that's a 2. In my radical, all right, let's hit my calculator up here. Let's see, 3 squared minus 4 times 1 times negative 8, 41. Okay, now 41, I try to simplify that. It's not a perfect square. If I try breaking it down, 41 won't even break down. So we're done there, man. This is done. That's all we can do. So you can see my answers over here. See, it's negative 3 plus the radical 41 divided by 2, and then it's negative 3 minus the 41 divided by 2. That would be my 2 answers right there. And you can type it all in at once like this. There's a plus or minus option to choose, and you can do that. Okay. This one says use quadratic formula to solve this one. All right, so here we go. Y squared minus 14y equals negative 46. Okay. It does not equal 0 this time, so I'm going to have to add 46. You see that? So I got y squared minus 14y plus 46 equals 0. So here we go. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay. All right, there you go. My a is 1. Got a 1 right there. So 1 and 1. B is negative 14. Negative 14 here, negative 14 there. And then there's my c, 46. Okay. And then just like always, there's 1, 2, 3 things to do on this. So x equals, that's going to be a positive 14. Down here, 2 times 1 is a 2. In my radical, all right, let's get that calculator out again. Negative 14 squared minus 4, and I got a 1 in the parentheses, and I got a 46 in parentheses, 12. Okay. All right, so now I do the square root of 12. All right, look here. Square root of 12 is not a perfect square, so we're going to have to try to break it down. So 12, all right, you always start with 2. 12 divided by 2 is 6. Circle the 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. Circle the 2. And then 3 won't break down, so you circle it. Okay, but now we do have a pair that sends a 2 out of the radical. This 3 is stuck because he doesn't have a partner. So this is going to be 2 radical 3 is what this is going to be. The 2 comes out, the 3 is stuck. 2 radical 3. So that makes my answer then this. 14 plus or minus 2 radical 3 divided by 2. So I'm going to put that in place of the radical 12. Okay. And we're done unless these 3 numbers divide. And they do. They all divide by 2. So 14 divided by 2 would be 7. 2 divided by 2 would be 1. 1 radical 3. And then 2 divided by 2 would be 1 down here, but we don't have to have that. So this would be 7 plus or minus radical 3, and there you go, 7 plus radical 3, 7 minus radical 3. So we got the answer right. But you could just type it in like this if you wanted to. It will take that. Okay. Now, what about 17 here? 17. The area of a rectangular wall of a barn is 320 square feet. Its length is 21 feet longer than twice the width. Find the length and the width of the wall of the barn. Okay. So look at this. We've got a rectangular wall of the barn. So here's my barn. I think I drew this before for you guys to see. Here's my barn, but here's the wall we're looking at. And the area of this is 320 square feet. Or it says its length is 12 feet longer than twice the width. So which one of these is bigger, the length or the width? Well, the length is. The width is the small one. So what we're going to do is we're going to let x be my width. Now, how do I write the length in terms of x? Well, it's 12 feet longer than twice the width. So twice the width, and it's 12 feet longer. So there's what that would be. All right, so area is length times width. Okay. All right, so my area is 320. That should equal my length times my width. So that means 320 equals, I distribute this x, I'm distributing from the right, but 2x times x will be 2x squared, and then 12 times x will be 12x. And look there, this is quadratic. So I'm going to minus the 320 on both sides. Here's my equals, but that's going to be 0. 2x squared plus 12x minus 320, and there we go, quadratic. And it equals 0. So x equals, this is x. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So my a is 2. 2 goes here and here. My b is 12. 12 goes here and here. And then c is negative 320. It goes in there. Okay. And of course, there's 1, 2, 3 things to do at once here. So that means x equals, that's going to be -12. Down here, 2 times 2 is 4. And my radical there, all right, let's get this calculator out again. I'm going to have a 12 in parentheses squared minus 4, a 2, and a -320. 2704. Oh my goodness. Let's see if that's a perfect square. It is, 52. So it's -12 plus or minus 52 divided by 4. Okay. Which means we got -12 plus 52, which is 40. And 40 divided by 4 would be 10. I got -12 minus 52, which is -64. Divided by 4 would be -16. And we can't have a negative distance. So x has to be 10. Okay, so going back up here to the problem. This would be 10 right there. That's my width. And then 2 times 10 is 20. Plus 12 would be 32. That's got to be my length. So 10 and 32, you can see my answers right there. So we did this right. 10 and 32. So my width is 10 feet. My length is 32 feet. Okay. All right, what about 18? A projectile is launched from ground level with initial velocity of v sub 0 feet per second. Neglecting air resistance, its height in t seconds after the launch is given by this. Here's the equation right here. All right, part A. Find the time the projectile will reach the height of 400 feet. And then part B, find the time that it returns to the ground if v sub 0 is 128 feet. So I'm going to put the 128 in for the v sub 0 right there. So this is what I'm going to have. S equals -16t squared plus 128t. There's the equation I come up with for this. Right there, I'm just putting the 128 in for the v sub 0. And that's my equation. Okay, t is time, s is the height in feet. All right, well, it says, what time will it take to reach 400? So I'm going to put 400. So this is part A. I'm going to put 400 in for S. Okay. Which means I'm going to have to minus 400. I'm just making it equal 0. And now I can solve this using the good old quadratic formula. T equals -b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. All right. My a is -16. That goes here and here. My b is 128. We got a 128 there, 128 there. And my c is -400 over there. All right, we've got 1, 2, 3 things to do here. All right, so t equals, make sure I'm on the screen here. I got -128. Down here I got -32. And my radical, all right, let's see here. 128 squared minus 4, and that's a -16. And a -400, and I got -9216. Okay, and then right there, look at that, negative. This is imaginary. This is an imaginary number here, which it's going to send out an I, which means there's no solution here. It's imaginary, which means it wasn't thrown high enough. It's not going to reach 400 feet. So, in part A here, the projectile does not reach 400 feet. It's going to be B. Okay, it wasn't thrown hard enough. You know, you got to throw it hard enough to get that height. Now, part B. Part B says, how many seconds to return to the ground? Okay, so we're going to do part B now. How many seconds to return to the ground? That means my S is 0. Okay, remember, here's my equation up here. Okay, there's my equation. And this time the height is 0. So I put 0 right there. All right, which is what I have here. Okay, well, it equals 0. So here's my A and my B. There's no C. So we're going to do this again. T equals negative B plus or minus the square root B squared minus 4AC all over 2A. Okay. Now, my A is negative 16. My B is 128. My C is a 0 because I don't have one. All right, and I've got 1, 2, 3 things to do at one time here. Okay, so that means T equals, this is negative 128 plus or minus. Down here I got negative 32. And in my radical, all right, let's punch this in. 128 squared minus 4 times negative 16 times 0. 16,384. Okay, now do the square root of that. So let's do the square root of that answer. Oh, I didn't hit the square root. 128. So this is going to be negative 128 plus or minus 128 divided by negative 32. Okay, so negative 128 plus 128 is 0. 0 divided by negative 32 would be 0. Then negative 128 minus 128 is negative 256 divided by negative 32. Here, I'll punch on the calculator for you guys. Negative 128 minus 128, negative 256 divided by negative 32, 8. So here's my two solutions for T. Okay, but now it says, when does it return to ground? See, it's on the ground when the time is 0. When does it return to ground? It goes up, it comes back down, it returns to ground at T equals 8. So 8 is my answer. 8 seconds. So the projectile returns to the ground after 8 seconds, which you can see right here, that's right. So, okay, we're moving on. All right, solve this. Okay. We've got 9y over y minus 4 minus 36 over y plus 4 equals 288 over y squared minus 16. All right, we've got to get, oops. Pull the whole thing down here, man. It's getting off the screen. Sorry about that. All right, so I got to get rid of these denominators. And if I notice y minus 4, y plus 4, if I multiply those together, I get the y squared minus 16. So I'm going to multiply both sides, y minus 4 and y plus 4. Y minus 4, y plus 4. Okay, I'll multiply both sides by that. Over here, when I multiply, I'm going to have to distribute into this. Okay, so when I multiply to this one, the y minus 4 is going to cancel. So I have y plus 4 times 9y. Okay, the y minus 4's will cancel, so I have y plus 4 times 9y. When I distribute into here, the y plus 4's will cancel. So I have y minus 4 times 36 equals, over here, these will cancel entirely. I just have 288. Okay, so again, I got to do y minus 4 and y plus 4 on both sides. When I multiply here, the y minus 4's cancel, so I have y plus 4 times 9y minus, when I distribute over here, the y plus 4's cancel, so I have y minus 4 times 36. Now here, all this cancels, so I got 288. So there's what I have, and all my denominators are gone. So I have to distribute. So I distribute here. So 9y times y is 9y squared. 9y times 4, 36y. Okay. I'm going to distribute here. Now look here, I got a negative to distribute and a 36. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put the 36 over here. So I've got negative 36 times this. So negative 36 times y is negative 36y. Negative 36 times negative 4 would be a positive 144. Okay. So again, when I distribute here, 9y times y is 9y squared. 9y times 4 is 36y. This 36 over here, I put over here to do the negative 36 times that, because I had a negative and a 36. So negative 36 times y, negative 36 times negative 4. Okay. Now these are here cancel. Okay, so I have 9y squared plus 144 equals 288. Okay. This is quadratic again. But now this time, look, there's no b term. And if there's no b term, you can just minus 144. 9y squared equals, that's going to be 144. And then you can divide by 9. And that's going to be 16. Okay. And then you got y squared equals 16. You can do the square root property now. So if there's no b term, you can do square root property. This cancels, y equals, but now when I do square root, it could be plus or minus. So the square root of 16 is 4. So it could be plus or minus 4. Okay? Plus or minus 4. Now, all this work for nothing, because if you remember now, and I didn't tell you this at the beginning, right here, I can't have 4, because 4 minus 4 would be 0, and I'd be dividing by 0. So 4 cannot be a solution. And right here, negative 4 plus 4 would be 0. I'd be dividing by 0. I can't have negative 4 either. So all this work to find my solutions here, which I can't have because it makes me divide by 0, so there's no solution here. So this one stinks, man. B, the solution is the empty set. No solution at all. So when you have these type of equations, I didn't say that from the beginning, but right there, see, we can't divide by 0. So these values right here, y cannot be 4. Right there, y cannot be negative 4. And right here, that's the combination of the two, so that's both of them. But these values here, y can't be. And that's the ones we come up with, so that means there's no solution. Okay, what about 20? Maybe it has a solution. So I've got 2x over x minus 2 equals 7 plus 6x squared over x minus 2. Okay. Well, look at my denominator, x minus 2. I'm going to multiply both sides by x minus 2. Okay. Now, again here, x can't be 2. So I'm going to write that down this time. X cannot be 2. And I keep that in mind here because if I get 2 from an answer, then I've got to rule it out. Just like the previous problem. So when I multiply here by x minus 2, these cancel. So I just have a 2x here. All right, when I multiply by x minus 2 over here, well, I got x minus 2 times 7, which means I have 7 times x, which is 7x. 7 times negative 2 is negative 14. So I got to distribute this 7 times this. And then I'm going to multiply here. When I multiply here, the x minus 2's cancel, so I just have plus 6x squared. Okay. So I multiply x minus 2 on both sides. When I do it here, these cancel, so I just have 2x. Now when I multiply on this side, x minus 2 times 7, well, I got to distribute that. So that's going to be 7x minus 14. When I multiply to this one, they cancel and I just have the plus 6x. Okay. Now I got a minus 2x on both sides because I got this square. So I've got 6x squared. 7x minus 2x is a positive 5x, and I got minus 14. And there you go. Quadratic. All right. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. All right, my a is 6. 6 goes here and here. My b is 5. 5 goes in there and there. Here's my c right there, negative 14 at the very end. Okay. And then, of course, you remember, we got 1, 2, 3 things. Y'all are probably going to be doing this in your sleep. We've done it so much. But x is going to equal negative 5. Down here, I got 12. And my radical, all right, let's see here. I got a 5 in parentheses squared minus 4 times 6 times negative 14, 361. Let's see if that's a perfect square. It is, 19. This is a perfect square right there. So here's what I've got. There's my two answers. All right, so that means negative 5 plus 19 is 14. 14 over 12, that simplifies 7 over 6. There's one answer. Negative 5 minus 19 is negative 24 over 12, which is negative 2. There should be my two answers right there. Okay. And look, we can't have 2 from the beginning up here. Okay. Well, I got negative 2, so that's okay. So I got 7 over 6 and negative 2. And there you go, man. We're good. We're good. That's my solutions. All right. Number 21. We're solving inequality here. Negative 2x plus 5 less than or equal to 11. Okay. So we're just going to pretend that's equals and solve it, which means I'll minus 5 on both sides. Negative 2x less than or equal to 6. I'm going to divide by negative 2. So x, that's going to be negative 3, but now remember, when you divide by negative, it changed my inequality the other way. So instead of being a less than, it's greater than. All right, so there's my solution right there. Okay, now it wants it in interval notation. See, interval notation. So x is greater than negative 3. Now, if you need to graph it, here's 0, here's negative 3. I circle it. Greater than means it goes this way. And it's got the equal to line, so it's colored in. So there's what it looks like on the graph. Now, what would that interval be? Well, remember now, on your interval, you always have your low and you have your high. My low on here is negative 3. My high is infinity. It does include negative 3, so I got a bracket. But on infinity, we never get there, so that's always a parenthesis. So that should be my interval, and you can see it right there. Okay. All right. We got 22 here. We got a compound inequality here. This paper's not moving around very good. Compound inequality. All right, so you've got 9 less than or equal to 3y plus 12 less than or equal to 18. Okay, now remember, if it was just this, we would just minus 12 on both sides, right? But I've got this left side over here, I got a minus 12. So basically, like I've told you before, you got to concentrate on the middle and get that to be your x, or in this case, your y. So that means right here, 9 minus 12 is negative 3. This goes away, that's a 3y. 18 minus 12 is a 6. Okay, and then I need y, so I divide by 3, which means I have to divide by 3 on the ends. That gives me a negative 1. This gives me y. That gives me a 2. So there we go. Y is between negative 1 and 2. What's this as an interval? Well, the low is negative 1. The high is 2. This has a bracket. This has a bracket. So that should be my answer right there. Okay, and it looks like you did a good job. All right, let's solve this quadratic one. So x squared minus 4x less than or equal to negative 2. All right, well, I got to add 2. x squared minus 4x plus 2 is less than or equal to 0. Okay? And so we're going to solve this. Now we're going to have two answers. And remember, if it's less than, connects. If it's less than, it connects. Remember now, if it's greater, it's opposites. It means it does this right here. It goes opposites. All right, so here we're less than, so that's going to connect. So I solve this. So x equals negative b plus or minus a square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. My a is 1. So a goes in those two spots. My b right there, negative 4, goes here and here. My c is a 2 on the end there. And so we have 1, 2, 3 things to do here. Okay, so that's going to be x equals a positive 4. Down here I got 2. In my radical, let's see here. Let's punch this in. Negative 4 in parentheses squared minus 4 times 1 times 2, 8. Okay. So 8 is not a perfect square, so I'm going to have to break it down. Okay, that's 2 times 4. 4 is 2 times 2. I got a pair of 2's. That sends a 2 out of the radical, but this guy's stuck because he doesn't have a partner. So that's 2 radical 2. All right, so that means right here, this is going to be 4 plus or minus 2 radical 2 divided by this 2. And we are done right there unless now these 3 divide down. And they do. They all divide by 2. All right, so 4 divided by 2 would be 2. 2 divided by 2 would be 1. 2 divided by 2 would be 1 down there, and we don't have to have this. So this is 2 plus or minus radical 2. All right, so if you remember now, this was a less than, which means it connects. They connect together. So that means these two values I have, I'm running out of paper here. 2 minus radical 2 is the lowest one. 2 plus radical 2 would be the higher one. And it had an equal to line, so these would be brackets. So this would be my interval. They connect from the low one to the high one. Okay, which is what my answer is here, see. Okay, now let's just suppose this was a greater than. If that was a greater than, that means they'd go opposite. Okay, which means 2 minus radical 2 is the low one. 2 plus radical 2 is the high one of these two. So that means they would go opposite directions, which means this would go to negative infinity to this. And then we go from this one to positive infinity, and we put a union in there. So that's what it would be if it was a greater than equal to instead of a less than. But here's my answer right here, this one. This is what it'd be if it's a less than or equal to, which is what we had. And here's what it would be if it was a greater than or equal to. Okay. We're just about done here. Let's go number 24. Match the following equation with the graph of its solution set. So this is an absolute value inequality here where it's greater than 22. All right. So that means x could be 22 or x could be negative 22. Okay, there's my two values, and it's greater than, which means they go opposite. So we're looking at this right here, or this right here. These go opposite. And see, there's no equal to line, which means we're going to have a here because it does not include the values. This right here would be if it had the equal to line. So the answer is A. Now, if it was a less than, nah, that one's not on here, but a less than would be this right here. It would connect like this. That's what the less than would look like. Less than or equal to, they get colored in. Okay. Now, this was the empty set one originally. Empty set would be like if absolute value of x was less than a negative 22. There's no way it could be less than a negative, so that would be the empty set that's what that case would be. Then right here, this is the whole number line. That's if the absolute value of x was greater than a negative 22. See, every value you put in here is greater than negative 22, so that would be everything, the whole number line. So that's how you would get those answers. All right. Then 25, solve this absolute value equation. All right, now remember, this thing inside could equal 2 or it could equal negative 2. So I'm going to set it up. 6 minus 3x equals 2. 6 minus 3x equals negative 2. We have two solutions there. All right, so solving this one here, I'm going to minus 6. Negative 3x equals, that's negative 4. And I divide by negative 3. And that's just going to be, the negatives will cancel, 4/3. So there's one solution. Okay, on this one, I'm going to minus 6 on both sides. This will go away. Negative 3x equals, that's negative 8. And then divide by negative 3. And that's going to be, the negatives will cancel. That's 8/3. So it looks like 4/3 and 8/3. And there we go. We're right. We got it. Okay. Now you can check these the same way. If I put 4/3 in, 4/3, you can check it just like we did otherwise. And now we have one more problem left. Okay, 4x plus 3 in absolute value bars plus 6 is less than 1. Okay, now remember on this, we have to get rid of this 6. This 6 is like in no man's land, so I'm going to have to minus 6 on both sides so I can have my absolute value less than over here, that's negative 5. Okay, so I got to get this 6 over here to the other side. I got to have absolute value, and then I have my number over there. Well, now if you think about this one now, this absolute value is less than a negative. It can't be, this is always positive. It can't be less than a negative. So this is no solution. Or the empty set. Okay, so yeah, the solution set is the empty set. Okay, now let's just suppose it says greater than negative 5. Okay, and we just talked about this. An absolute value greater than negative 5. Well, everything I put in here is going to be positive, which is always greater than negative. So this would be all numbers. Okay. And then, of course, if you had 4x plus 3 greater than just a positive 5, then you would set up your two inequalities. So you'd have 4x plus 3 greater than 5. And you have 4x plus 3. Change that around to less than and do negative 5. And you'd have to do both of those. Anyway, that's the review here. So if you have any questions, let me know. I'll help you all I can. I'm sorry the video is lengthy, but you can fast forward and watch the parts that you need. Contact me if you have any trouble though, and I'll help you all I can. Have a great day, and we'll see you later sometime.